The entire world right now is desperate for connection. The United States Surgeon General has officially declared loneliness a public health crisis. 1 in 4 adults say they feel completely invisible, cut off, and alone. But you are not one of them. Are you? Your phone buzzes, you glance down, you see the name. You already know exactly what the message is going to say, and without guilt, without drama, without a single word of explanation, you put the phone back down. And here is the part that nobody talks about. You do not feel empty. You do not feel like something is wrong with you. In a world full of lonely people desperately seeking connection, you feel something completely unexpected. You feel free. My name is POP, and I study the psychology behind why certain people choose peace over people and why that might be the most self-aware decision a human being can make. If you want to understand yourself on a deeper level, subscribe and hit the like button right now. So, how did you become this person? Because you were not always like this. There was a time when you were the one everyone leaned on. You were the friend who answered the phone at 2 in the morning without even checking who it was. You were the peacekeeper in your family, the one who quietly held everything together while slowly falling apart on the inside. You were the partner, the confidant, the emotional anchor. You made yourself available. You made yourself reliable. You gave and gave and gave, and they took and took and took. You sat through the same complaints on loop. You handed out the same advice. You watched them ignore it, vanish for a while, and then reappear like nothing had ever happened. You kept pouring into people who never once stopped to ask if your cup had anything left in it. Until one day, no big speech, no final argument, no dramatic exit. Something inside you simply went still. You stopped calling, you stopped explaining, you stopped showing up for people who never showed up for you. And the world did not collapse. The sky did not fall. The room just got very, very quiet. Society looked at the silence and called you cold, avoidant, close off. But your brain was not failing you in that moment. It was doing the opposite. It was running one of the most sophisticated protective programs in all of human biology. Psychologist Dr. Stephen Porges developed what is known as the polyvagal theory. Your autonomic nervous system is always running quietly in the background, and its one job is to assess safety. Every interaction, every relationship, every message that comes through your phone, your nervous system is silently evaluating all of it. When you spend years pouring into people who consistently take without returning, your nervous system eventually reaches a verdict. Social engagement is no longer a source of comfort. It has become a source of threat. So it skips your conscious mind entirely. It pulls a biological circuit breaker. Researchers call this the dorsal vagal response, a state of deep withdrawal, shutdown, and energy conservation. You did not pull away because you are a bad friend. You pulled away because your nervous system was fighting to protect the last reserves of energy you had left. But the real question is this: why is your nervous system so finely tuned to this kind of drain in the first place? For many people who find it easy to cut others off, the answer reaches all the way back to childhood. If you grew up in a home where one person's mood could shift the entire energy of a room, you already understand this on a level words barely capture. You learned how to read emotional weather before you ever learned how to read a book. You scanned faces the moment adults walked through the door. You figured out very early that love and unpredictability came as a package deal. That closeness almost always carried a hidden cost. Renowned psychiatrist Dr. Murray Bowen gave this a name. He called it emotional cutoff. It describes the moment a child decides that emotional closeness is not safe, so that child builds something else instead. They develop the ability to sense tension before a single word is spoken. They learn that being alone does not feel like loneliness, it feels like relief. That blueprint was not a flaw. It was survival. It was written by a younger version of you who was just trying to make it through. And here you are today, still running that same program. Now, here is the part most people completely overlook, because this is where everything actually matters. There is a fundamental difference between a wall and a boundary. A wall is built from fear. It keeps out everyone without distinction, the trustworthy, the toxic, and everyone in between. A boundary is built from self-knowledge. It is not a barrier. It is a filter. It decides who earns access to your energy and who simply does not make the cut. The Centers for Disease Control reports that prolonged social isolation raises your risk of heart disease by 29% and stroke by 32%. That is real data and it deserves to be taken seriously. But what those same studies consistently fail to mention is that being surrounded by draining, toxic, energy depleting people causes comparable damage to your body and your mind. So, how do you know whether you are isolating out of fear or protecting yourself from wisdom? Your body already has the answer. When you removed someone from your life and felt a deep physical exhale, that was not loneliness, that was detox. When the silence that followed felt like oxygen instead of emptiness, that was not running away, that was restoration. The question is never simply whether to let people in. The question is which people deserve access to your peace. And deep down, you already know exactly who those people are. Here is something that almost never gets said about people who cut others off. You do not do it carelessly or randomly. You do it because you have become extraordinarily skilled at reading human behavior. That friend who only reaches out when they need something. You clock that pattern within the first few months. That family member whose compliments always arrive with invisible conditions attached. You learned their rhythm years ago. That person who floods you with warmth and then disappears without warning. You saw the cycle forming before it even finished its first loop. A 2023 study published in Nature Neuroscience found that individuals who experience early emotional stress developed significantly heightened activity in the brain's threat detection regions. Researchers at the University of Iowa also found that the frontal lobe, the area responsible for complex social judgment, runs in overdrive in people with this kind of background. You are not paranoid. You are not overly sensitive. You are processing social information at a level most people never even come close to. Your brain has spent years quietly logging human behavior and refining it into a precise early warning system. When that system tells you someone is going to drain you, you have learned to trust it without apology. That is not a flaw. That is a form of intelligence most people will never develop. Society has labels for people like you: isolated, withdrawn, antisocial. But every single one of those labels carries the same hidden assumption: that something is missing from you, that you are somehow incomplete without constant contact and constant noise. Here's a better word: solitude. Loneliness is the ache of wanting connection and not having it. Solitude is the quiet you chose because that quiet belongs entirely to you. You are not sitting somewhere wishing your phone would ring. You are sitting in your own space, finally able to hear your own thoughts, finally able to breathe without carrying the weight of everyone else's chaos. The silence around you is not emptiness. It is space. It is air. It is the absence of noise you never asked to carry in the first place. People who do not understand your choices will tell you that you are running away. But you know the truth better than anyone. You are not running away from something. You are running toward something. Toward clarity, toward stillness, toward a version of yourself that simply cannot exist inside constant chaos. That is not isolation. That is sanctuary. And if you are watching this right now, quietly wondering whether something is wrong with you, please hear this clearly. There is nothing wrong with you. You are not cold. You are not heartless. You are not broken. You are someone who learned through lived experience that your energy is not unlimited and that your peace is not something everyone gets to access for free. And instead of allowing that lesson to turn you hard and bitter, you made a quiet and powerful decision. You chose yourself. The Harvard Study of Adult Development, the longest running scientific study on human happiness ever conducted, followed hundreds of people across 75 years of their lives. After all that time and all that data, one finding stood above everything else. It is not how many people you have in your life that determines your happiness. It is the quality, the safety, and the depth of those relationships. If your circle is small but filled with people who genuinely see you, who respect your energy, and who add to your life instead of quietly draining it, you are not doing something wrong. You are doing it exactly right. If this video spoke to something you have been feeling but could never quite put into words, do one thing right now. Share it with a friend who also protects their peace. They need to hear this just as much as you did. And drop a comment below. Tell me, have you ever felt that deep sense of relief after walking away from someone? I read every single comment personally, and I would love to hear your story. If you want more content that helps you truly understand yourself, subscribe and hit the notification bell. New videos go up regularly, and you do not want to miss what is coming next. Protect your peace.